Hello everybody, welcome to Coco's Crochet. I'm Litza and today I'm bringing you episode 4 in our little mini series Crocheting with Blanket Yarn. Now, a lot of you may already know this, but if you don't, I have so much blanket yarn that I really need to use it up. So this is why I created this little mini series, because let's be real, I have been blessed to have that much blanket yarn, but I need to use it. It can't just be sitting there in my little boxes. I did have a recent yarn haul which added to my collection of blanket yarn, or to my stash. So slowly but surely I have been using it, and I thought I'll be sharing with you along the way what I'm using my blanket yarn for. Now I know that a lot of you haven't used it before, so this gives you an opportunity to see that, hey, if you come across some your way that's at a very good price, and all of mine has been, because I've only ever purchased it when the millions have been on sale. And I also purchased this one which was on sale when I bought it, but these weren't millions, and this is a nice sparkle one as well. I did use some of that in one of my episodes, which is episode 2, for a little bag that I made. So go across and watch the playlist if you haven't already done so. There are 3 other projects in there that you might be interested in. Now, some of you expressed that you're not happy with the blanket yarn, but let me tell you, my experience has been a lot of fun. I have been enjoying the process. The only thing that I've noticed with blanket yarn is when you do the magic circle, if you pull too tight, it will snap. So that's not a plus by no means, but the way that I alleviate that is either I chain and use that instead of a magic circle. So I make a small, some chains and then a ring, and then I crochet into that. Or I just crochet my very first, so when I do my magic ring, my first row, I crochet it a little bit looser. So when I pull the tail end in from the magic ring, it actually doesn't snap. So there are a few little tricks that I've been doing, or a few little tips along the way, because I had heard that it happens, and it actually does, because it's happened to me as well. So we find solutions, guys. I like to think in my life that I'm solutions driven and I don't live in the problem. So that's hopefully how we all operate. Now, too much chitter chatter about the yarn that I have and what am I doing with it. Well, today's episode is, as we said, episode number 4, and it is all about water balloons. Now, what made me think to make water balloons? So here's what they look like, guys. While I'm chatting to you about them, you can have a little look. Very simple, very quick, and a very fun project at that. So our friend Abby over at Blue Heart Crochet, hey Abby, how are you, sweetie? She suggested, when she saw one of our blanket yarn episodes, that a good way to use up your blanket yarn was water balloons, not water bottles, water balloons. So I thought, oh, you know what? I've heard about these water balloons that you crochet. How do they actually work? So I'll give you an idea of how you use them, and I'll tell you how I created them very, very quickly, how I crocheted them. So basically what you do is you get a bucket of water, so it's very economical. You don't have to have, taps running and hoses running. You get a bucket of water and you dunk them in there until they are fully saturated or fully drenched. And then you take them out and they've all plumped up, and then you get to throw them the way you would a water balloon. Now, they are very nice and soft and squishy, and I imagine that they might, be a little bit more fun to play with than a bit of plastic. And the good thing is that they're reusable, guys. So basically you wring them out, hang them up to dry, or put them in a little bucket with some sudsy water, rinse them out again, and they're ready for the next time. Just dry them out in the sun. So that is awesome. Now, there is actually a video, I think Crochet Crowd has put it out, and you can watch Maker and her grandchildren or her children actually playing with them. But of course you can just throw them against the wall, or throw them from a height, not too high, of course, making sure there's no one around. Play with them that way. Instead of splat everywhere and then they're destroyed, they splat, make that big puddle that you want of the water. Well, not puddle, but you know what I mean, that splat mark. They leave the mark, but then you get to reuse them again. Dunk them in your bucket of water, saturate them till they're, there's no longer any way that you can fill them up with any more water, and then again use them and reuse them and reuse them and reuse them. And that is what's wonderful about these. So thank you so much, Abby, for popping that into my head. I've quickly just made a little collection here, just using these 2 colors, just so you can see what they look like in the variegated yarn and also in the solid. Now, when you go on YouTube, guys, you will come across a few videos that show you how to make them. Some only use a double crochet. This is all US terminology, a double crochet. Some only use a single crochet, and some use a half double. Now I personally went for the half double, so out of this they hardly use anything at all, and I do use for mine the 8mm hook. I quite like the way it turns out, because with these it is a little bit forgiving, guys. So if you want to work with blanket yarn as one of your very first projects, I highly recommend that this be the one, because for me the hardest part, and that's why I'm doing this as well, is actually seeing my stitches. See on top, you're trying to see the little V's, and I actually made most of these with very poor lighting. So what I'm getting at is that they're quite forgiving, and they do actually look really good when you finish them. Does that look better? Now, I made them this way. So I pretty much got all the patterns that I had looked at. I combined them together to make what I felt was the nicest looking water balloon. I keep saying bottle, water balloon for me. So basically at the base, can you see with one of these? Yeah, so at the very base there, I did a magic ring, and there are 6 half double crochets. Then for the second row, you increase in each one, bringing you to 12 half double crochets. And then for 2 rows, you go around, so twice, just at the 12 half double crochets, and then you do a decrease row of half double crochets, bringing you back down to 6. And then I do 2 rows to make that little neck bit there, just with single crochets. And that's basically it, guys. You can just then sew in your tail and you're done. Now, another way that you might want to use your tail, so before you actually cut it off, and I'll show you here, is basically wind it around the neck of the balloon like you would to tie up a balloon, and then it gives you that look as well, which is a little bit, looks more like, a water balloon possibly, or like a balloon. But that's totally up to you. That's just for decorative purposes. It will not change the way that, you operate this little toy, because in essence, that's what it is. It is a lot of fun. So that's a little option that you might want to think of. So before you actually cut off your yarn, I would just, put my needle through it and bring it out here, and then tie it around, and then, fasten it off that way. So that's just an option for you guys, just to have a little think about. But very quick, very simple, very fun project. And as I said, as a first project, I would highly recommend it, because they are very quick and easy to make. It doesn't matter what blanket yarn you have. If you have a thicker one, because I have seen thicker blanket yarns and slightly thinner, but this is the average one. Most blanket yarns, I feel, ask you to use an 8mm hook. So it doesn't matter if you have just scraps. You can do it in any color, obviously. You can use your sparkle yarn if you want to sacrifice it for this. Maybe I wouldn't. I might keep the sparkle for a nicer project. Not that I'm saying this isn't a nice project, you know what I mean. So this is great for being a scrap buster as well. So if you want to use all your scrap blanket yarn, now is the time to do it. So guys, thank you for hanging out with me for episode number 4, crocheting with blanket yarn. I've absolutely enjoyed bringing it to you. And another thing that these will be great for, and I'm going to be doing it for, is for market makes. So if you're in the process of making some things for the markets, and especially for us here, it is summertime coming up, or you might want to make yours wherever you are in the world for that time of the year where that you'll be wanting to get wet, where the kids are in their cozies and it is a nice hot day out there and you don't mind them getting wet. This is a great time to start making them as well, so you've got a big collection, because I imagine that the more you have, the more fun the kids would have, and especially if you've got a nice big group of grandchildren or children in the house, or visitors as well, it'd be great. And let me tell you that adults have just as much fun as these, and they're not just for the kids. So thank you so much for taking the time to see what I crocheted for episode number 4, and now we know that it's water balloons. Wait for episode number 5. I'm not sure what it'll be or when it'll come, but it'll be coming your way soon. So I hope you're all well. Take care, and I shall see you all again very soon. Bye everybody.